L1A visa, it could be subdivided into either a managerial position or an executive position. Now, a lot of times people kind of misunderstand what it is to be a manager and what it is to be considered an executive. So I just want to read something first, and then I definitely want you to watch the subsequent videos where I break down really specifically the job duties of a manager and the job description and duties for an executive. So for now, I just want to kind of give a general idea of what an L1A visa is all about. So the legal definition of a manager and executive role must be strictly followed, and a detailed description of the duties must be included along with the petition. An executive or managerial capacity requires a certain level of authority and an appropriate mix of job duties. Managers and executives plan, they organize, direct, and control an organization's major functions and work through other employees to achieve the organization's goal. So if we break this down, we can kind of understand even what kind of documents you need to include when you're applying either the managerial or the executive L1A visa. So the first thing that's important here is that it says that you need to provide a detailed description of the duties. So a detailed description doesn't mean, 2 or 3 bullet points in regards to your job description. You want to include as many as you can. I would even recommend about 10 points in regards to your job duties. And that's very important. Try to be specific. Don't use general terminology. Also use professional terminology. Read it over before you give it to the immigration officer, because sometimes, obviously as a manager and as an executive, you draft a lot of letters and so forth, and you're accustomed to providing professional documentation. So when we look at detailed description of duties, inform the officer of what makes you a manager or what makes you an executive. Now, just to summarize as to what a manager is and what an executive is, a manager really plans, organizes, and directs a particular department of an organization. So let's say the organization has several departments. Usually the manager is responsible for a department. Versus an executive is someone who kind of is responsible for either multiple departments or perhaps the whole company in all. So they're not usually responsible for just a department. They're supervising multiple departments. Another difference is that a manager usually has people reporting to them, and these are employees that report to them. These are junior level employees that report to the manager. Versus an executive usually has managers reporting to the executive, not necessarily employees. The other difference is that as an executive, you really are responsible for big picture matters. You're not really responsible necessarily for day-to-day activities. That's something that the manager is responsible for. However, you're responsible for, making assessments on quarterly reviews or annual reviews, or making a direction for the organization to say that in 2016, we're going to be doing X, Y, and Z. Versus a manager, again, is a more smaller scale. The last thing that distinguishes the manager and an executive is the hiring and firing responsibility. Usually a manager hires and fires employees in their particular department, versus an executive may say, you know what, the total revenue in 2014 wasn't what we were thinking of, so we're going to lay off an entire department, for example. So they're a little bit more larger scale. If you have questions about if you should apply under the L1A manager or L1A executive, give me a call today and I'll be able to break it down for you and let you know which one is best suited for you. Thank you, and until next time.